It's all about.
Oh, beautifully measured.
This was not an upset. This was a detonation. Under the blazing desert sun at Indian Wells, in a stadium that prides itself on tradition, order, and predictable hierarchies, the tennis world was ripped open. The BNP Paribas Open Tennis self-proclaimed fifth Grand Slam did not just deliver a surprise. It delivered a reckoning, because what happened on that court was not a lucky swing, not a fluke, not a hot streak. It was a 20-year-old Filipina walking into the lion's den and dismantling a reigning champion piece by piece. Across the net stood Elena Rybakina, world number 3, former Wimbledon Championships champion, reigning Australian Open champion. 6 feet of controlled power. A serve that sounds like a gunshot in the desert air. A player who does not just beat opponents, she erases them. She stepped on a stadium one expecting routine business. Instead, she ran into a storm that on the other side of the net was Alex Eala, 31 in the world, significantly smaller in stature, armed not with overwhelming power, but with speed, imagination, and a nation's belief surging behind her. And what unfolded was not a fairy tale. It was strategy. It was courage. It was evolution in real time. To understand the magnitude, you have to understand Indian Wells. The desert air is bone dry. The ball rockets through the atmosphere. But when it strikes the gritty, high-friction surface, it grips and explodes upward. The conditions reward intelligence as much as brute force. You cannot survive here on autopilot. You must solve problems. Early on, it looked like there would be no puzzle to solve. Rybakina opened the match like a demolition crew. First serves clocking in the high 110s. Flat rockets painted onto the lines. Service games held in barely 90 seconds. When Eala served, Rybakina stepped inside the baseline and detonated return winners as if she were offended by the rally even beginning. Double break point 6, 3. Clinical. The crowd, thousands of Filipino supporters waving flags and chanting her name, grew quieter. The script was unfolding exactly as the oddsmakers predicted. Power crushes pluck. But great competitors are defined not by how they start. They are defined by how they adjust. Between sets, Eala sat with a towel over her head. No theatrics, no panic, just processing. She understood something critical. Trading pace with Rybakina was tactical suicide. Rybakina thrives on rhythm. Feed her clean, flat shots, and she redirects them with surgical efficiency. Eala rewrote the geometry of the match. She stopped trying to hit through the world number 3. She decided to drag her into the desert mud. When the second set began, the shift was immediate. On return, Eala retreated almost comically far behind the baseline, so deep it looked like she was playing from another zip code. But that extra fraction of a second allowed her to read the serve. Instead of going for low-percentage winners, she aimed deep and central, forcing rallies. And once the rally began, everything changed. Heavy topspin, high net clearance, deep looping balls that kicked viciously off the Indian Wells surface and leapt into Rybakina's shoulders. For a tall player who prefers waist-high contact and flat timing, that shoulder-high bounce is poison. Suddenly, Rybakina wasn't dictating. She was adjusting, backing up, resetting her feet. Eala introduced angles, next short cross-court forehands that pulled Rybakina off the court, then sudden changes down the line. She mixed and dropped shots that forced the Kazakh star to sprint forward, only to be passed on the next exchange. The rallies lengthened, the rhythm fractured. The ice began to crack. At 3-3 in the second set, Eala earned her opening. A grinding 18-shot rally ended with Rybakina netting a forehand. Breakpoint converted. The stadium erupted. The Filipino flags began to wave again, this time not in hope, but in belief. Rybakina's expression, usually carved from stone, flickered. A glance toward her box. A longer pause between serves. The aura of inevitability began to dissolve. Eala took the second set 6-1 set all. And now, the pressure shifted, because champions are used to controlling narratives. When that control slips, doubt seeps in. Rybakina's first serve percentage dipped. Her timing grew fractionally late. Meanwhile, Eala moved like a blur, chasing down shots that seemed untouchable, turning defense into offense with astonishing fluidity. The third set became a test of nerve. At 2-2, Rybakina unleashed a barrage of winners to earn break points. This was the moment many expected the hierarchy to restore itself, but Eala refused. She saved one break point with a fearless backhand down the line, another with a disguised drop shot that left Rybakina stranded mid-court. The hold that followed felt seismic. From there, momentum became a tidal wave. Rybakina's frustration surfaced, rushed forehands, a rare double fault, a shake of the head. Eala sensed vulnerability and attacked with precision, not recklessness. She stepped inside the baseline when the opportunity arose, redirecting pace instead of generating it 4-3. She broke. The stadium was no longer polite. It was thunderous. Serving for the match at 5-4, the 20-year-old stood on the brink of history. Across the net stood a Grand Slam champion accustomed to closing doors, not watching them kick down. The final rally was poetic. A brutal exchange of depth and spin. Rybakina attempted to flatten out a forehand to seize control that it sailed long. Game. Set. Match. Pandemonium. Eala dropped her racket, hands over her face. The crowd roared with a sound that seemed to travel far beyond the California desert, across oceans, across time zones, into the crowded streets of Manila, where fans would soon flood intersections in celebration. This was more than a ranking upset. It was proof of evolution. Proof that power is not invincible. Proof that tactical intelligence, emotional composure, and national belief can combine into something unstoppable. For years, the women's game has been defined by overwhelming hitters who shorten points and suffocate opponents. But this match was a reminder. Tennis remains a chess match played at 100 miles per hour. Eala did not overpower a champion. She outthought her, she outmaneuvered her, she outlasted her. And in doing so, she announced something far bigger than a quarterfinal berth. She announced that the future of tennis does not politely request entry. It storms the gates. The earthquake began with a single tactical adjustment. It ended with a seismic shift in belief, not just for one player, but for an entire nation. And the aftershocks are only just beginning. Her strike zone has always been lower. That is where she does her damage, waist high, flat, clean, surgical. But when you force the ball to climb into the shoulders, when you make a 6-foot power hitter swing above her comfort zone, you don't just change the rally. You change the physics. And that is exactly what Alex Eala did to Elena Rybakina under the scorching desert sky at BNP Paribas Open. She didn't overpower her. She elevated the ball and let gravity do the rest. Those heavy topspin forehands leapt viciously off the gritty Indian Wells surface, kicking up into Rybakina's neck and shoulders. Suddenly, the world number 3 wasn't striking through the court with that trademark flat violence. She was generating her own pace off high, looping, dead balls, and the machine began to malfunction. Forehands sprayed wide by inches. Backhands clipped the tape and died. The frustration, usually locked behind Rybakina's stoic expression, began to flicker across her face. A glare toward her box. A muttered complaint. A longer pause before serve. Eala saw it, and she turned the knife, because she recognized something subtle, something tactical purists have whispered for years. Rybakina's forward movement is the one tiny fissure in her armor. Devastating from the baseline, clinical when dictating, but when forced to sprint awkwardly forward, when pulled out of rhythm and dragged into uncomfortable geometry, she becomes human. Eala began deploying the drop shot with cruel precision. The pattern was devastatingly simple. Pin Rybakina deep behind the baseline with a heavy, kicking forehand. Wait for her to set her feet. Then at the last possible moment, feather a slicing drop shot that barely cleared the net and died in the desert air. Over and over again, the towering Kazakh star was forced to lunge forward, scrambling, stretching, trying to reach balls that seemed to evaporate as they crossed the net. The crowd gasped each time. The desert heat did the rest. Those repeated sprints began draining the legs of a player built for first strike dominance, not marathon defense. The breathing grew heavier. The recovery steps grew slower, and early in the second set, Eala struck at a break of serve. The stadium erupted. The Filipino flags in the stands whipped wildly. The chants grew louder. They could smell blood in the water. What had looked like a routine dismantling 45 minutes earlier was now morphing into something far more dangerous. Momentum. Eala defended like a wall, tracking down balls that would have been clean winners against almost anyone else on tour. She extended rallies beyond Rybakina's comfort zone, forcing the former Grand Slam champion to hit one more shot. And then one more. The unforced errors mounted, but they weren't truly unforced. They were manufactured by pressure, by variation, by tactical suffocation. Eala captured the second set, one set all. And then came the third, a decider that will be replayed, analyzed, and studied by coaches for years. Before it began, Rybakina took a medical timeout. She stepped off court, regrouping, trying to cool the fire that had ignited across the net. When she returned, she looked sharper, refocused. The first serve found its targets again. The pace ticked upward. For 6 suffocating games, neither woman gave an inch point. 3 games all. Every rally felt like it carried championship weight. The tension inside Stadium 1 was almost physical, thick enough to touch. Then came the moment of truth. Serving at 3-4, Eala blinked first, at least it seemed that way. Rybakina unleashed 3 return winners in a row. Flat lasers down the line. Brutal. Precise. Love. 40. Triple break point. This was the moment the hierarchy was supposed to reassert itself. The world number 3, armed with pedigree and power, closing the door on the underdog. The stadium fell silent. But if there is one revelation from this match, it is this. Alex Eala's veins are made of ice. Facing elimination, she produced the service game of her life. First break point. A vicious kick serve out wide, dragging Rybakina off the court and forcing an error. 15-40. Second. A 25-shot rally that stretched lungs and patience alike. Eala refused to miss. She covered every blade of the baseline until Rybakina finally cracked, sending a backhand long. 30-40. The third break point demanded audacity, and Eala delivered something almost unthinkable. She serve volleyed against one of the most feared returners in the game. On a break point that could have ended her tournament, she sliced the serve wide, charged the net without hesitation, and punched a forehand volley cleanly into open space. Deuce. The roar that followed felt seismic. It wasn't just a point. It was a declaration. Tactical brilliance fused with fearless instinct. Eala held point 4 games all. You could see it, then the subtle shift in Rybakina's posture. The shoulders slightly lower. The eyes less certain. The psychological blow of losing that triple break point was immense. In the very next game, Eala pounced. She stepped inside the baseline on second serves, stripping Rybakina of time. Her returns landed deep and heavy, forcing rushed replies. At 15-40, she held double match point on the Kazakh serve. The final rally encapsulated the entire battle. Rybakina, desperate to impose herself, unleashed a massive inside-out forehand, normally an untouchable winner. Eala was wrong-footed, skidding across the hard court, nearly out of frame, but she reached it. With nothing but instinct, she threw up a towering defensive lob that climbed into the desert sky. Time slowed. The entire stadium held its breath as Rybakina settled underneath it. Feet planted, racket drawn back. A high forehand put-away routine by her standards. But nothing about this moment was routine. The exhaustion, the pressure, the relentless resistance from across the net. It all converged. She swung and buried the ball straight into the bottom of the net. Game. Set. Match. Eala collapsed to her knees, racket falling from her hand, tears spilling freely as the stadium exploded. Shock from traditionalists. Ecstasy from the Filipino faithful. Somewhere across the Pacific, celebrations erupted in Manila as a nation watched history unfold. Rybakina offered a brief handshake and exited quickly, fury etched across her features. For her, this was a bitter lesson ahead of the looming Miami Open, a reminder that raw power, when neutralized, must evolve. But this day did not belong to her. It belonged to the 20-year-old who authored a masterpiece. The statistics told a brutal story. Rybakina finished with 54 unforced errors, an astonishing number for a player of her caliber. But context matters. They were forged by Eala's tactical variety, by her refusal to give rhythm, by the defensive wall she constructed point after point. Eala, meanwhile, kept her own error count remarkably low and won nearly 60% of points on Rybakina's second serve, an extraordinary achievement against one of the tour's elite servers. This victory does more than shake up rankings. It sends a message. Alex Eala is no longer knocking politely at the door of the top 20. She is tearing the hinges off. She has proven she can stand on one of the sport's grandest stages, look a reigning Grand Slam champion in the eye, and dismantle her with intelligence, endurance, and nerve. She didn't just win a match, she delivered a blueprint. Power can be disrupted, giants can be moved, and belief, when paired with courage and tactical clarity, can rattle even the coldest champion. The draw has opened, the momentum is real, and now the question echoes across the desert. Who, exactly, is brave enough to try and stop her?